Hi, I'm Hoyt with Gator-Tail Outboards. Today we're going to go over service, some troubleshooting tips, and operation helpful hints. Okay, we're going to start with the service of the Gator-Tail, and you want to start by changing the oil first. Here's the oil filter. Part number is 842921. It's a Briggs & Stratton part number. This is the drain plug. You want to crack it loose. Everything on the Briggs & Stratton engine or Vanguard engine is metric. So anything on this part, anything on the Gator-Tail part of the unit, you want to use standard wrenches or sockets. And at that point, while it's draining, you can go ahead and take the reverse cover off, 9/16 wrench, and you pull it off. You want to pull it off the right side of the Gator-Tail first. Come around, get the left side off. After you remove that cover, this is where the reverse transmission is. You have 2 screws in it, 2 Phillips screws. You can use a number 2 Phillips screwdriver for it. Comes off real easy. You take these 2 screws out. I cut the bottom of a soft drink bottle, the small one, 16 ounce. It works perfect. Cut it about 1 inch tall. Take the 2 screws out. Slide the soft drink bottle here. Turn the 2 screws where they're 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock position. Let it drain out. It's a thick oil because we pack it with grease when it's new. So it's not gonna be a fast process, but just let everything come out of it while your oil's draining. And then you can proceed to doing your other service tips while that's going on. But we're gonna just show everything for camera today just to show you how it's all done right here. After that, go ahead and put the plug back in. Screw your new filter on. Make sure you lube the O-ring on the new oil filter. Again, the part number is 842921. Very important because it has a high temperature check valve in this oil filter that all of these motors need to have. Okay, so after the transmission is drained, what you want to do is take this screw here and turn it between the 10 and 11 o'clock position, which is going to put the other one between the 4 and 5 o'clock position. And you get a squirt can with the same oil you're running in the engine. So whatever your preference of oil is in the engine, we recommend synthetic oil, 10W30, 10W40, 5W30, depending on your temperature. You get a squirt can and you squirt here. On a normal squirt can, it takes about 12, 13 pumps. But what you do is look at the other hole on the opposite side in that 4 or 5 o'clock position. When the oil starts coming out of it, it's full. So when the oil comes out the bottom, it's full. Then your transmission is serviced, you put your screws back in. Okay, after you drain the oil and change the filter, put the plug back in, you want to come on this side of the engine, and this is where you fill it. With the filter change, and manual says 2.5 quarts. Use the same oil we talked about earlier, and this is how you check the oil. I recommend keeping the oil to the top of the full mark, where we seem to have the best results. If it has a red flag on it, if you get your unit shipped into you or created in the crate, if you have the red flag, that means there's no oil in the engine. You must add oil before cranking it up. Okay, now we're going to show you how to service the lower unit. What I normally do is I pick up the Gator-Tail, I push the tilt pin knob in, which holds the motor up so you can service it. It makes it easier to grease it. And with the same number 2 Phillips screwdriver, you take the drain plug out. It's the same screw that's in the transmission, but you take the drain plug out, remove it, put your grease gun here with the grease supply with the unit. Every Gator-Tail that's purchased comes with 1 tube of grease. And then from there, you can buy that same brand. You can go online and get it from Amsoil. Put the grease gun here, and you pump the grease gun until you get good, clean grease coming out of this hole. It normally takes 14, 20, 30 pumps, depending on how often you do it and how often you're using it and where you're using it at. But the main thing is you want to do it every 15 hours. Every 15 hours, we found if you go longer, the grease starts to break down. So it's best to just do it at that point. That way you have good bearing service and seal service out of your Gator-Tail unit. After you're done greasing the lower unit, put the screw back, snug it, don't over tighten it. While you have the lower unit up so you can grease it, there's 2 more grease zerks that we use for steering, and it's one at the top, one at the bottom. You want to do it about 3 or 4 times a year. It takes about 3 or 4 or 5 pumps per side, and it's going to keep the motor turning real easy for you. This is the reverse master cylinder. This is what actuates the reverse. You should never have to service this component. If you do, it takes .3 brake fluid. Okay, now we're gonna go over some troubleshooting tips of your Gator-Tail unit. First thing we're gonna talk about is the forward engagement or start. If you turn in the key and the motor's not cranking, or not going in forward, you hear it clicking in the back. The first thing you want to check is 25 amp fuse that's located on the muffler bracket. Just take it off and check it. It's a 25 amp fuse. The engine comes with 2 extra ones. Very important. This is cranking and forward engagement. Next, we're going to talk about some troubleshooting tips on the trim. The trim consists of 3 components: a trim switch, main circuit breaker, and the trim unit itself that's underneath the unit. The second component we're looking at is the trim switch. If the symptoms would be no trim up or no trim down, you want to check your trim switch. Okay, I want to go over just a quick operation tip some customers aren't aware of that the Gator-Tail is equipped with. While you're running on typically a stumpy or hard sand bottom, you want to trim the engine up as much as possible where it won't have as much drag. If you need more up trim, the spot you need to look is for all the Gator-Tail motors have it. If your transom or angle is not quite right, or even if it's on one of our boats and you need more trim angle, you want to move this pin to here. And just by doing that, it takes a simple 2 9/16 wrenches and you can move the pin up to the highest hole for the hard bottom or stump type running. The bottom pinhole location, when you're in soft mud and you need the 4-wheel drive beast mode, put it in the bottom hole and you're coming home.